Hello and welcome to another video. In today's video we are responding to a challenge to go through our 5 favourite tractor add-ons or modifications. So let's get into it. So to give some context to this, we've been away for a couple of weeks, and in that time, not fully sure who started it, but there's been a large collaboration challenge idea that someone started where everyone is challenging each other to name their 5 favourite tractor add-ons. Now we've actually been challenged by 2 people because we've been away. One was from Logger John and the other one was from Arles from Country Living with the Harnishes. So they both have great channels. Please do check them out, and tons of people have done videos on this because we have quite a large community now on YouTube with everyone doing videos about their machinery. If you don't fully know what I mean by this, then all you have to do is look in the comment section down below. There's a large range of people with their own machinery doing their own videos on them, and this is what everyone is doing. So let's get into our 5 favourite tractor add-ons. In no particular order, we're going to start with our LED light upgrade that we did on our Boland's HT20 that we have sat here. We also did it on our other Boland's HT23, not the one that I have beside me here, but we're going to use this one as a comparison because it still has the original GE halogen beam lamps. Now these had a very limited lifespan and weren't very powerful compared to the old LEDs that we've got in there. Now we do have a few new old stock of these GE ones. I'll just pull this one out of the box to show you. But these are quite difficult to find, and you can get some cheaper replacements that are still not as powerful as our LEDs though. And we tested these when we were using our snowplow on the tractor, and they were quite useful for when it got a bit darker. But what I'll do now is slightly blind the cameraman by turning on the old halogen lights on the HT23 and then comparing them to our LEDs on the HT20. So these are the standard ones, which are pretty bright. They'll do the job and produce more of a yellow light. Whereas if we go over to the LEDs on the HT20, produces a much brighter light, which is more of a white light, and are much better for working in the dark. The other benefit of these LED lights specifically is they look just like the originals. There's a huge range of LEDs you can get that just wouldn't suit this tractor if we installed them on it, but these ones that we found look exactly like the originals, which is a big positive for us because we like our tractors looking as original as possible even if we make modifications, and we're pretty happy that we can do this upgrade and people won't really tell the difference. Now our second add-on is an upgrade that we've done to the fuel system of our Boland's HT machines. Now that is the addition of a fuel primer bulb and an additional fuel shutoff tap here. Now the original fuel shutoff tap is on the bottom of the fuel tank down there. I'm not fully sure if you'll be able to see it or not. Yeah, there you go. You can just about see it on the bottom of the fuel tank. So if you wanted to turn off the fuel on this tractor originally, you'd have to reach around under here and try and turn that off, which is very difficult and takes a long time. So what we did was we left that tap on and we installed this tap here, which is just overall easier to get to. Now the other part of the upgrade, the fuel primer bulb, the bottom of the fuel tank is probably at about this level. Then the fuel pump, which is right next to the carburetor, is at about this level. So that's a lot of work for the fuel pump to pull the fuel up that distance, and despite us having a brand new Kohler fuel pump on there. You do get fuel drain back when it turns off, so you have to crank over the engine quite a lot for it to pull the fuel up to even start the tractor. Whereas with this primer bulb, what you do is you just turn on the fuel tap, give it a couple of squeezes, which creates a vacuum and pulls the fuel up towards the fuel pump. Then when you crank over the engine, it takes less cranks of the engine to start up because the fuel's already there, which reduces wear on the starter motor and the fuel pump. And the main reason for wanting to reduce wear on the starter motor is because it is located there. So if you had to replace it, that is engine completely out to pull that off, and good luck finding another one. So overall, that's something that we found necessary because we don't want to have to be replacing one of those starter motors. Before we go on to the next thing, we'll just give you a demonstration of how quickly one of these starts with this fuel system upgrade. Tap on, give it a couple of squeezes on the fuel bulb, primer bulb until you can feel that it's full of fuel. Then we'll give this a crank. And as you saw there, that was pretty much instant. Number 3 on our list here is the addition of wheel weights and tyre chains to the back of our Boland's HT20. Now, we've kept these wheel weights on all year round, not just in the winter, and they help a lot for improving traction in slippery conditions. Now, these aren't genuine Boland's ones. These were commissioned by a good Boland's friend here in the UK called Dave Matthews, and he commissioned quite a few of these. So we picked up a couple of them for our tractors, and they've been a great addition when we've been snow ploughing or just when we've been losing traction towing trailers or something. They really help. Then when it is snowing, the addition of snow chains obviously help quite a lot to gain more traction. And although we don't get too much snow where we are in the UK, when it has snowed, these have been a big help to make sure that we're ploughing the snow and the snow isn't pushing us. Our fourth thing is going to be quite difficult to demonstrate to you, seeing as it is summer, but it is our replica Boland's HT snowplow with the hydraulic tilt blade, which we made a few years ago. I think it was in the winter of 2020 when we made that up, using a friend's snowplow to copy the measurements from, and then making up the frame and stuff ourselves. Now, we often talk about putting things into storage, and this is one of the places where we store things. This is a shed that we call the working tractor store. You may recognise a few of the tractors in here. That's the Raider. But up there on that shelf is where the snowplow is, sitting next to our sled. And effectively, when it comes to winter time, we'll pull it off there, take it round to the workshop and fit it onto the tractor. And if you've watched our videos for a while, you will have seen a video pretty much yearly since we made that snowplow of us fitting it to the HT20, just in case we get any snow. But with it being summer, we obviously can't test it out right now. But here are a few clips of when we tested it out when we got some snow a few years ago. And final tractor add-on is the Honda GX140 engine that's been put in our 1962 Boland's Rider-Matic. Now, a lot of people talk about repowering these old tractors, and we like keeping our machines as original as possible. However, putting a modern engine in an old tractor brings a lot of advantages. You get a very robust chassis and gearbox, coupled with a reliable engine coming from this Honda GX140. Now, the previous owner of this tractor had kind of started fitting it. They hadn't done all of the things they needed to get it running properly, so that's what we first did when we got this tractor. There's a few things that we had to adapt because of the different engine. We had to put this hood stay in because the original engine, a Kohler K161, would have attached to the grille to hold it in place. We also had to make up this new exhaust because the Honda exhaust that was on here faced that way, directly at the bottom of the fuel tank, which we found out when we were revving it up, ploughing at rural pastimes a few years ago. And the final thing we did was we put on this belt guard here on one of the drive belts to make it work with the Versamatic, and that had some challenges in mounting that to the side of the Honda engine. But another advantage to this is the fact that you can actually get parts for these Hondas really easily, whereas the Kohler K161 that was in here, those engines are starting to be a bit more like rocking horse poo now, especially with the fact that we have quite a few tractors that need a few of those Kohler K161 donut engines, so having a Honda in this one makes it 10 times easier. And it also means that it's probably our most reliable tractor, because whenever you come to it, it always starts easily because of how new the engine is. So those are our 5 add-ons for our tractors. Now we've got a quick bonus one for you now at the end, which is less of an add-on and more of an organisation method that we use for our tractors and the kind of service history on them. They all have the same standard INDAC ignition key, or they should do, except for a few of them which have non-standard ignition keys. So effectively on most of them you could just use one key to start them all, but because we have quite a few of these machines, we've assigned a key to each of them. And on the key rings for each of those keys, we have these little number tags, which the number links to a spreadsheet that we have of our whole collection, and it is roughly in the order that we got the tractors. So the HT23 here is number 11, so that's one of the first ones that Dad got, and he got this before I was even born. Now if we compare that to the HT20, this is number 48 on that key ring there, so that's quite late on in our collection. The 1054 was just before that, it's number 47, and the Ridermatic there is number 29. I have that one by memory because we've used it so much. But effectively the point of this is if we were to do a service, say on this 1054, we have multiple of these 1054s, so if we were just to log a service on a 1054 we wouldn't fully know which one it is, whereas we can log that we did a service on number 47, then we know it links to exactly this tractor, and then we can build up a good service history about all of our machines, either if we sell them or in future to know what we've done to each machine. So thank you again to Logger John and Arles for challenging us to do this, and with this being a collaboration challenge, we now need to challenge some people to do the exact same thing. So we have picked 4 people actually that we're going to challenge, and we are a bit late to this, so a lot of people have been taken, but we've tried to pick 4 people that people may not have heard of in the community with Kubota and other compact tractor things. A lot of people around that have done it, so we're going to try and pick 4 people that have some different machinery that you may not have come across on YouTube before. So let's get into our 4 people we're going to challenge. Firstly, we're going to start off with Larry BL. He has some different machinery. He's got Craftsman's and he's got Ropers. He's currently in a restoration project restoring a Roper sickle bar mower, and they're always interesting attachments. So we challenge you, Larry, to your 5 favourite add-ons or attachments for your tractors. Our second one is Murphy Mowers ETC. Now he has a large collection of lawn and garden tractors that he's done some interesting modifications to, so it'd be interesting to see his top 5 favourites. Now our third one would be PastPreserver, previously known as AC Guy 1948, And I think he still has his Boland's Groundskeeper, which is a tractor that we very much like the look of but don't have. It's like a bigger version of our Estate Keeper, but for a size reference, you have the Boland's HTs, which are quite big, but all four wheels on the Groundskeeper are the size of the rear tyres on the HT. So it's a pretty big machine. So we challenge you to PastPreserver. And the final one is someone who hasn't done much on YouTube, but he started posting a bit more as of late, but we know him from the forums from before we did YouTube, and that is 29 Chev Boland's channel, Stu, who is possibly one of the most knowledgeable people about Bolands in the world. So Stu, if you have any add-ons for your Bolands, we'd be very interested in seeing your videos, and we will link all of the people that we've just challenged to do this challenge in the description. So it'd be great if some of you could do this challenge, and we'd be very interested to see the add-ons for your tractors. But that is it for our video on this challenge. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.